Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is absolutely smashing to the moon. Let's get it. So as you guys can see here on the weekly chart on the price of Bitcoin, we're having a really, really strong move up here. Once we got above this channel that we were in here, the breakout was absolutely ridiculous. This is the nature of crypto, just so you all know. This is generally how it works in crypto. It's very volatile. All I can say is if you cannot handle the volatility, not financial advice, but maybe dividend stocks strictly are a better option for you. So, because people lose their shirts all the time in crypto, I mean, crypto is very, very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So, 20% move up. And when I say dangerous, I mean like, you could, if you run the risk of FOMOing into a coin at the top, you could be dumped on by 80%, something like that. So, Bitcoin's moved 20% up in the last 2 weeks ever since this breakout. We are above the EMAs. You can see the MACD and the MACD and the RSI are still very bullish. Although Bitcoin is starting to show that overbought shade of green on the RSI. Again, that's not a good sign. So we'll actually move down here a little bit lower time frame to the daily. As you guys can see, we did get a very clear, distinct breakout above this channel. And we are obviously very overbought on the daily. Last time you guys saw this, it basically just bobbed around. It did nothing. It came back to the EMAs. Did it have a huge dump? Well, I mean, I don't know, sort of. It kind of did. So it went down roughly about 21%. Could it have another big dump? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this thing is pretty overextended. Just to get to the red EMA, it's about 44,000. So that's a large dump. That's about $8,000 or so. So you're talking roughly about at least a 15% pullback, if not more. Now we're going to go over to the monthly time frame. So you guys can see we still are still above the trend line here. This obviously is very bullish. But if I zoom out here and you guys take a look at just how far above the EMAs the price of Bitcoin is, it's absolutely ridiculous at this point. So the price of Bitcoin is almost more than twice as high as the EMAs are at this point. Let's just give you guys an example. If we had a retest of the monthly EMAs, which whether we're going to or not, you'd be looking at anywhere from a 27 to a as much as a 46% pullback. Believe it or not, that would be normal in crypto. Do I think that's going to happen? Maybe not that extreme, maybe like a 20-25% pullback, but it is a little concerning that it's moving up this aggressively, this fast before the halving. I know that the spot Bitcoin ETFs, they're getting bought up like crazy. They're, Fidelity and BlackRock, they're buying tons of Bitcoin and all that because their clients want it and, yada, yada. But this seems a little extreme without a pullback due at some point in the future. Does this mean that we're not buying crypto? No. We're just looking for we're being very picky about the kind of deals that we want to pick up. We're not going to pick something up that's already, 100% overextended off the EMAs or what we consider to be expensive. We look for the deals in crypto. There is going to come a point in time where all of the altcoins and Bitcoin and all that are going to be moonshotting so hard that's going to be really rare to find a deal. You might have to take a look into some new altcoins that are at that time just hitting the market that are really cheap or brand new or something like that. I mean, there will come a time when that happens. So we'll keep a lookout for that for you guys. And as we go later into the future, we'll get into like actual altcoins and stuff like that. So with that being said, we have 66 days until the halving. As you guys can see here, April 21st. It's not that far away. Once Bitcoin has its halving, the block reward is going to be cut in half to 3.125. Obviously, the spot Bitcoin ETFs buying it up. What does this mean? Well, basically, less Bitcoin is mined, which means less can be sold to the market. And if the demand remains the same and the supply goes down, that's very, very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. Again, laws of supply and demand. Less supply, more demand equals higher prices, and vice versa. So CoinMarketCap, as you guys can see, we have moved up massive in the last 24 hours. We're at 4.5% to 2.04 trillion. It's a huge move up. You can see Bitcoin and Ethereum is just absolutely moonshotting. If we do the 24-hour mark here, you guys can see like a lot of these altcoins have already absolutely shredded to the moon. Very, very bullish day across the board. Some of these we do actually hold, like we used to hold Doge. We still hold Graph. And let's see what else we got here. We have Gala. We have that one. Decentraland. We have some others here. Just can't quite spot them right now. Filecoin. We have Filecoin. But you guys can see it's pretty much nothing but green across the board. That's obviously a very bullish day. Considering how bullish it is, basically how we would do this is we would DCA in until we saw a large pullback, and then we would start getting more aggressive with our buys. So you guys can see pretty much all across the board here, nothing but green. Go to the next page. Well, okay, that's obviously probably a new coin or something. That's a really, really big return. So a lot of green, as you guys can see, almost no red, very, very little red. So here's what's interesting about this. You guys can see that the crypto search term and also the Bitcoin search term are extremely low at this point. What does this mean? Well, with the price of Bitcoin going up like it is and the search terms for crypto and Bitcoin not really populating all that much interest, what that means is that retail has not even gotten into the crypto space yet, okay? When they get into the crypto space at some point eventually later on in the year, that's when the real parabola mania is going to take place, and where the prices of all cryptocurrencies are just going to absolutely moonshot and then some, okay? So pretty much what it means is more or less is we're still early in the crypto cycle. If retail has not started FOMOing in mass, that means we're still early. And I'm pretty certain that the whales are going to see it this way too. So fear and greed, we're obviously very greedy at this point. You guys can see we can really only go up so much from here, basically 28. So that could indicate potentially some kind of pullback towards either the neutral or the fear zone. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but it's a possibility. So MVRV score, still relatively cheap. We're much closer to the buy zone than we are to the sell zone. Once we get up to the sell zone, that's when you should be concerned. That's this light pink and dark pink kind of boxy looking zone right here. You guys can see pretty much every time we hit the peak on this thing, that was the top of the Bitcoin bull run in almost every single cycle, with the exception of the November peak over here in 2021. So the rainbow Bitcoin chart, it's starting to slowly move up now, as you guys can see. You take a look at the prices in correlation with the actual colors of the chart. You can see that the current zone that we're in is roughly about the still cheap zone. So that indicates somewhere between 49,200 to 64,300. So looking at the previous cycles here, you guys can see that every time we hit a cycle peak, the peaks progressively start becoming lower and lower. Now the spot Bitcoin ETFs could change that, but if history is to repeat, we'll probably wind up somewhere in either this dark orange or light orange, or I should say medium orange colored box. So taking a look at the potential future prices of Bitcoin, if that were to happen, let's say that, I don't know, let's say that Bitcoin tops out maybe somewhere around November of next year, which would make sense because it topped out in November of 2021. If we were to get into the medium orange box, the price would be somewhere between 150 to 190,000. The kind of slightly darker orange box, which is the one where the arrows pointed at, so the medium orange box would be, let's see if I can get this. So it'd be somewhere between 190 to 240,000. I don't know if it's going to make it that high. I'd say somewhere between 150 to 190,000, but crypto has a way to surprise people. And the kind of slightly darker orange box would be somewhere between 244,000 to 318,000. So I'd say somewhere, as kind of a rough range estimate, somewhere probably realistically between 150 to 200,000. Anything on top of that, in my opinion, is icing on the cake. So we'll take a look at the Newpol now. This is a net unrealized profit and loss. Whenever we get into euphoria and greed, that is obviously a very clear sell signal. That means basically for anybody that buys up here, it really sucks for those people because they're probably going to get dumped on. We're obviously not even close to that area, as you guys can see here on the last cycle peak. During April 2021, we got pretty close, didn't quite get in there, but pretty close. So I'd say maybe the top of this belief denial box would be roughly about when I would be looking to sell Bitcoin if we had any. That's probably right around the area that we would be looking to sell in confluence with other indicators. But as of right now, I would say we're probably at fair value on this, not cheap, but not expensive. So one more thing we're going to look at here, we're going to get rid of one of these EMAs, and we're going to pull up the, what is it called? The Bitcoin Pi cycle top indicator. All right, so we are not getting a Pi cycle top indicator on this candle. Why does this matter? Well, basically it's pretty simple because it has predicted nearly the top of every single cycle, as you guys can see here, not during the November peak, but the April peak, it predicted that top almost perfectly. And it predicted the 2017 top. I mean, if we go back even further in history, then it'll become obvious just how accurate this thing is. So it predicted this top over here almost exactly, and this one over here as well, all the way back to 2013. So you're talking almost 11 years back. This thing has been very accurate over time. Has not been 100% perfect, obviously with the November peak, but as you guys can see, we have not had an indicator pop up yet. And again, every single time this has happened, it has happened after the Bitcoin halving cycle, which has not happened yet. That is in 2 months. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts down below about Bitcoin. If you think it's going to go up, going to go down, if you're going to buy some, not buy some, if you guys want to get into some altcoins, if you're only in the Grayscale trusts or Coney and all that jazz. So anyways, we'll see y'all later. Peace.